All right, I'm live. Hi. Hopefully, people will be joining me shortly. We'll see that as it happens. This is like a pre-church thing. Like every time before church, it's you got this time before church where things are not quite happening yet. Everybody's sort of mulling in, coming on in, and you got this moment where nobody's here yet. Oh, but there's one person here now. Hello, hello. Good morning. Good morning. Uh, so welcome. And I was just talking about kind of like the pre-church moment where like people are just kind of coming in, things aren't quite happening yet. There's some anticipation in the air, and that's kind of what this moment is right now. So, and I was talking to myself about it, but now I'm talking to you about it as well. So, there you go. Please let me know if you can hear me. It's always important. Yeah. All right. Brew. I maybe should close the window. It's kind of loud. Hello, people. Hello, welcome. We'll be getting started here in just about 2 minutes. I want to have everybody kind of arrive, and then we'll get started. Everybody, good morning. Good morning. Uh, Let me know how you're doing. Give me a quick hello there in the live chat. Yep. All right. 1 minute remaining until we get started officially. So, welcome everybody. Welcome. do 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 do. Do 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 do. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, good morning to you. How are you today, Tamar? Got some coffee? You ready to go? Yeah. Good morning. Oh, 3 people now. That's because it's almost time. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I hope that you have the morning beverage of your choice and that you are ready to worship this morning because I know that I am, and it's gonna be a good day. So welcome everybody. Oh, hi Judy. You just ended your governance board meeting, so everybody's just gonna be coming in here any moment now. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome. It is lovely to see all of you represented by the numbers in the corner of my screen. It's great to see you. Please say hello in the chat. And we'll be getting started here any moment now. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. My name is Aiden, aka Saint Sparkle Bear, and this is part of Archwood Online, the online ministry of Archwood United Church of Christ, which is happening here during the COVID epidemic. And we are very glad to see everybody this morning. I am very glad to see all of you and to have you be part of worship. Archwood United Church of Christ is this completely amazing landmark congregation on the near west side of Cleveland, and they have been around for 200 years. Good morning, Terry, and everyone. Yes, good morning. So Archwood has been around for 200 years, providing this tremendous witness to the spirit of progressive Christianity, and indeed to what I believe is the true potential of the body of Christ. All of us working together to change the world for the better and create the love and beloved community that we all seek. And Archwood is doing that in their own way, small but mighty. Archwood is. Judy says I'm looking very well rested and healthy, and I feel that way. Honestly, I think coming back home has been a positive experience for me. And I don't know about you all, but those of us who have outside spaces, it's been a lot of fun to be outside. And I know that I am still enjoying all of my tomatoes and my growing, and my sprouts have just sprouted. And even though we are in the midst of like some really serious times, I think it's important for us to like see those moments of life, you know. And I know that I've been looking out for those. I would love to hear in the comments how you all have been finding life for yourselves in the midst of the epidemic, and kind of what you're doing to cultivate and create some life. And that really leads me, I think, into our worship this morning, into the official body of the sermon. And today we're going to be talking about shepherding and shepherds. And I'm going to start this morning with the words of Hildegard of Bingen, who's one of my favorites, mystic and amazing teacher of the church, who was around 1,000 years ago, being a cool lady. Anyway, Hildegard of Bingen wrote these words, which are opening words, and I've adapted them a little bit. And she said, "We are the breeze that nurtures all things green. We encourage blossoms to flourish with ripening fruits. We are the rain coming from the dew that causes the grasses to laugh with joy and life. We are here together to cultivate that life. We are here to lead one another to the nature and joy that we are. Come, let us worship together. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to take a look at my chat. All right. Say hello, everyone. It's going live right here, and I will be part of this. So today I'm going to start. I'm actually going to start with our readings, and the first reading is going to be one that we are all familiar with, and that is Psalm 23. And I remember last year when we were all together, Hans and I think it was Lindsay at the time did this like amazing rendition of Bobby McFerrin's Psalm 23 that he wrote for his mother. And I'm thinking about that as I read this morning, and hopefully we will all be back together very, very soon. Psalm 23. God is my shepherd. I shall not want. God makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters. She restores my soul and leads me in right paths for the sake of her name. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies, and you anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of God my whole life long. All right, Psalm 23. And I'm just going to jump into our next reading, which is, of course, the Gospel of John. John Gospel, chapter 10, verses 1 through 10. Jesus says, "Very truly, I tell you, anyone who does not enter the sheepfold by the gate but climbs in by another way is a thief and a bandit. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep hear his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes ahead of them, and the sheep follow him because they know his voice. They will not follow a stranger, but they will run from him because they do not know the voice of the stranger." Jesus used this figure of speech with them, but they did not understand what he was saying. So again, Jesus said to them, "Very truly, I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who come before me are thieves and bandits, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters by me will be saved and will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly." And the next line in that gospel passage, the very next line, verse 11, is, "I am the good shepherd." Jesus says, "I am the good shepherd," after also saying that he is the gate, right? And And so I was curious this Sunday. There's we have Psalm 23, and we have this gospel reading, and we're talking a lot about shepherds and sheep, and and certainly throughout the text of the Bible. It seems that shepherding must have been a primary function in ancient Israel, because the profession and all that's involved with it gets mentioned really frequently, and is a metaphor for how God treats God's people, which is of course us. So we have, God is described as a shepherd, but are we sheep? That's the question. And of course, like then, like at the birth of Jesus on the very first Christmas, we have the shepherds are the ones who are especially greeted by the angels. They're the ones who are in this primary position of special witness, and yet they're humble. Shepherds are not. It's not a fancy profession. It's a very humble profession, and it's one that's incredibly connected to the land and to the cycles of nature. And so, here in this time and place, here in 2020, um, there's not a lot of sheep going on, and there's not a lot of shepherding going on. And so for us, we are far removed from the fragrant fields, that served as a fertile metaphor for the Bible. And so God is my shepherd, I shall not want. But what does that mean for us in this moment? What makes a good shepherd? How can we translate that for us in this time in 2020? So, good morning, everybody, to the 12 people who've joined me. Please say hello in the chat. I'd like to say hello back. And meanwhile, we're going to continue to explore this question: what makes a good shepherd? And to explore this question, I wanted to start with the author Isaac Asimov. And I know that it may seem strange to use Isaac Asimov, a renowned sci-fi writer and atheist, as an interpreter of the Bible. But in addition to gracing us with a treasure trove of futuristic stories, Asimov also completed his very own exegesis of the Bible. And I'm going to show it to you right now. It is a grand tome. Here it is. And it is just brilliant. I am enjoying reading this as I use it for my sermon prep. And he has a unique interpretation. And in his analysis of John chapter 10, Asimov harkens back to the prophet Ezekiel. And in the prophet Ezekiel, Asimov writes, God is quoted as denouncing the wickedness of the Jewish leaders, and that God uses the metaphor of a wicked shepherd or wicked shepherds to describe the Jewish leaders. And then also kind of like, you hear the remnants of the thieves and bandits that we hear talking about in John. And Ezekiel writes, woe be the shepherds of Israel that feed themselves. Should not the shepherds feed the flocks? So Ezekiel is saying, woe to the shepherds of Israel who take for themselves, who have all that they need. Meanwhile, their flocks are suffering. Woe unto those leaders, right? So now in contrast, offers Ezekiel's vision of God as shepherd of God's people. And God says, I will both search my sheep and seek them out. So in contrast to the self-serving self-centeredness of the wicked shepherd, here we have God represented as a shepherd who will go above and beyond. Not only will God take care of the flock that is present, that is there and cohesive, but God will go out of God's way then to also seek out and help those who are at the fringes, those who have gotten lost in the hills, that all the sheep will come back and be taken care of, even the troublesome ones. So, a good shepherd. Aha! Hello to Kathy. And let's see what she's doing here in this time. A fish pond. Ooh. Cool. Neat. So there's a fish pond and there's frogs. That sounds great. Have you all seen the there's like an Instagram going around where somebody put up a sign outside their house that said Ministry of Silly Walks, and they put up a webcam, and so people have been walking by and doing like the silly walk thing like from Monty Python, and so there's an Instagram with all the videos of people doing the silly walks, and it is just brilliant. It's everything we need at this time to really celebrate. And I was reminded of that, the frogs on the sidewalk and so on and so forth that Kathy's talking about. So, all right. Meanwhile, let's go back to good shepherds. Okay, so a good shepherd is one who cares for their flock, even in troublesome times, and even the flocks who trouble, right? And so I couldn't help but think of how think about the different models of leadership that I'm seeing demonstrated kind of at this time throughout the COVID epidemic, right? And that we have some models of leadership that are very much in keeping with the wicked shepherd. Hi Ben, hi Ben. I didn't see you say hello. Hello. So yeah, so we have leadership happening, and I'm not, I don't have to name names. We all know what's going on. There is leadership occurring, shepherding that is happening, that is in fact the wicked shepherd. They're trying to get into the gate from a side way, uh, without really confronting the realities of God and God's kingdom, right? So we can't escape the reality of God. And in this case, the reality of God is the reality of this virus and what it is doing to the network of humanity, to our world, and what it is doing to change the way that we understand our priorities, that we understand our lives, and that we understand who and how leadership occurs and what makes good leadership. You know, what kind of leadership is important, um, not only in times of crisis, like in times such as this, in times of COVID, and very serious issues, but also just in general, right? Like I look at the way that some leaders have handled this, which is with honesty and with compassion and with directness, while also just being very clear about the what is happening, that we have to adjust, that there's no way that normal is going to be what it was, that there will be changes, but that we can work together, that we're not sheep, right? We are each other's shepherds, right? And a good leader knows that. A good leader, a good shepherd, is one who understands that his flock, that it's interconnected, that the sheep, they're all communicating in their own way, as sheep do. I don't know how sheep communicate. I'm not sure if it's like text message or if they use Snapchat. If anyone knows how sheep communicate, please let me know. But what I'm saying is like, of course, I'm using sheep as a metaphor for people, right? And so a good shepherd is one who understands that the flock themselves, with good leadership, are capable of monitoring and collecting and keeping one another. And in instances where that's not the case, a good shepherd is one who goes out of their way to bring back the sheep and make sure that everybody is taken care of, everybody has what they need, right? So woe be the wicked shepherds, says Ezekiel. And I kind of believe that to be true. All right. So now, sheep and shepherds, right? By the way, shepherds still exist. I did some research. There's actually a book by a shepherd, and gosh darn it, I didn't save the link, but I'll put it in the description of this video so y'all can see what that book is. Anyway, a shepherd wrote a book in 2015 about how it's still a valid profession. It's still something that's needed. But as I said, we are far away from those fragrant fields. So I'm not talking about like shepherds and sheep and that kind of thing. I'm talking about leadership and the people that are led and the interconnected kind of like networks of support and mutuality that are created within a flock, right? And what does it mean then for Jesus to be the gate, to be the ultimate good shepherd, right? And how does that mean then, if Jesus is the ultimate good shepherd, what do we do as Christians in this moment? For that, I am going to go to the book of Acts, which is also one of our lectionary readings for this morning. And in the book of Acts, they describe what the apostles were doing after the death and resurrection of Christ, right? How they all came together to really form the early church. And in the reading, they said that they devoted themselves to Jesus' teaching and fellowship, to the breaking of bread and prayers. Awe came upon everyone. They were in awe. And there were wonders and signs being done by all the apostles. And all who believed were together and had all things in common. They would sell their possessions and goods and distribute the proceeds to all as any had need. Day by day, as they spent much time together in the temple, they broke bread at home and ate their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having the goodwill of all the people. And day by day, the Lord added to their number those who were being saved. All right. So day by day, the apostles, they continued to act in these profound ways. They continued to act in these ways that created community, that created fellowship, that created the church by doing the church, that to sustain the flock needs to lead itself. And to lead itself, it means doing those acts of care, those acts of mutuality, the acts of building, right? And so here we are in this moment where the shepherds, many of the shepherds that we see are indeed wicked shepherds. They don't really have our best interests at heart. And so the leaders that we choose to follow are the ones who are, I think, are the ones who are closest to how Jesus would lead us at this moment. And how Jesus would lead us in this moment as he led the apostles after his death and resurrection is Jesus would lead us by creating and sustaining loving communities, and by, in every aspect of our lives, celebrating and creating life, whatever that means, in whatever moment you're in. Celebrate and create life, and in that way, we are sustaining the entire flock. Even we are not sheep; we are both shepherds and sheep, and we are following the ultimate shepherd to the gate, which of course is Jesus. And we do so by our actions, by our love, by our commitments to one another, and ultimately by keeping in mind, when I say we are not sheep, but that we are sheep, what I say is that we need to always kind of keep in mind sort of the vision of Christ, the interconnected, loving community that Christ envisioned, that Christ's body represents, that we are all a part of. And to keep that vision in mind is not an easy one. It takes a lot of thought. It takes a lot of intention. It is not for the sheep. It is not for the timid or the simple-minded. It takes work, and it takes attention and awareness. And that is the work of being a progressive Christian, is developing that awareness, developing that sense of self, and developing that sense of love for all of us. Being a good shepherd, and that means having compassion for all of the sheep, bringing all of the sheep back together, even the troublesome ones, even the ones that are, really say they need a haircut, so they have to stand on State House steps to say so. Having compassion even for them, and recognizing what we need to do in this moment to be leaders together to get through. All right. So, everybody, this is what I had to say about shepherds. At this moment, I'm kind of curious to hear from you. I asked this question of you: what makes a good shepherd? What makes a good leader for you? What are the qualities of good leadership? So, meanwhile, while that's occurring, I want to thank everybody for joining me today and joining me in as I kind of like examine shepherding and leadership here in 2020 in the midst of everything that we're going through. And and I'm going to be wrapping up here, but please do continue to comment. I will continue to respond to the comments as I can, and it has been such a pleasure to join you today. And and I love all of you. So much love to all of you. I am so looking forward to when we can be in one another's presences again. Meanwhile, stay well, stay healthy, and stay in love and compassionate with one another. Alrighty, I'll talk to you soon. Okay. Oh wait, there's comments. I'm going to respond to comments before I go. Yay! All right. So Ben says, having the same expectation for yourself that you have for your flock. Yes, yes, yes. That a good leader recognizes that they are just a person and that they need to behave themselves just like their flock, right? That we are held to the same levels of accountability and behavior. That is very important. And Kathy says, someone who gives me ideas to do good things and energy that makes me feel lively. Yes, right? Yeah, like in this moment, I found that the leaders that I have really enjoyed kind of like listening to are the ones who, while they're dealing with, like Governor DeWine, right? He's dealing with these really difficult issues, but for whatever reason, he's just a lot of fun to listen to as he talks about it because he has a lot of compassion and he has kind of energy of like, this is gonna, we're making this better, we're doing something to make it better, um so yeah. And good question. Yeah, Kathy raised this really interesting issue: when to lead and when to be sheep. um yeah, that's a really hard one to learn, and I know that I struggled with that one like right after seminary, because like they'd put all these ideas in our head about how we're all these like special leaders and we have special powers or whatever, and that's not really true. We're just people just like y'all, right? And just like everybody else. And so it was like you had to get back to the expectation that we are, all of us are just doing our best, and none of us have a lot of practice at it because life is short. And here we are. So yeah, exactly. Yes, Terry, a good servant makes a good leader. Yeah, exactly. Like servant leadership, which is something that we talk a lot about within kind of like progressive Christian theology, that Jesus is a representative of good leadership, right? And a representative of someone who listens and is a servant leader, will serve their people, will serve those who they lead, right? And my friend James says, James worked as a shepherd. Oh my gosh. Okay. So my friend James, um, I would love to talk to you about this, James. We'll need to have a phone call soon. My friend James is he's a farmer, and he used to be a shepherd. So, and he says that a big part of the job was to know better than goats and control their impulses. Yeah. Yes. There you go. Put boundaries in place. I love that. So a good leader is able to provide like safe containers in which the goats can behave how goats will behave, because the goats are goats. And that is an excellent point, my friend. So, um, and Terry says, my dad's definition of a leader is the person who forgot to talk. Yeah, right. They're the people who will be held accountable regardless, and bless them for that ability to take that on, right? So, yep. Yeah, yeah. Hans says that yes, exactly. A good leader knows when to bring in somebody who knows better than them about something, because a shepherd doesn't understand I don't know, like carpentry, right? And so a shepherd, if they're building a pen for their sheep, they're going to call in a carpenter to build the pen. They're not going to build the pen themselves because it won't hold the sheep, right? So Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And knowing, yes, exactly. And a good leader like knows what people need before they need it and provides that. And then is able to like to negotiate how people respond to that, right? So, wow, these are all great. Okay. Well, I do need to wrap it up because I'm at about 30 minutes, and that's really about the time that I've wanted to save for these because it's about the time that most people want to spend listening to something. And so, thank you all for all of your really thoughtful ideas and good leadership. I think these are great, and I'm so excited for people to see these and read these and to think about this. If you have any other comments, if you have any other thoughts, please do reach out to me, saintsparklebear@gmail.com, and I look forward to hearing from you. All right, everybody. I love you so much. I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.